Hey there, investors. My name is Devin Moreno, and today I wanted to talk to you about how do you know when you're actually ready to invest in real estate. A lot of us are going and reading books and having to do a lot of strategizing and trying to figure out this entire thing. There's so much in real estate that it's almost overwhelming. As many of you know, I started my investing career 2.5 years ago, and I started off with 0 properties, didn't know anything in real estate, knew nobody in real estate, none of my family do it, and none of them even invest. Most of my family's poor, didn't have any friends who were rich, nothing, knew absolutely nothing. Couldn't even build you a shelf. So obviously I had tons of learning to do, right? Well, I ended up spending 6 months of learning and then jumped immediately into it and buying my first house. And since then, now 2.5 years later, I have 6 properties and I'm actually working on buying a 5-unit property and also 2 more houses on top of that in the next coming months. So at what point did I realize I was ready to begin investing? That's where this question comes up actually from a couple of my friends. I actually have a friend whom has a couple vacations lined up throughout the year. And she said to herself, well, I have these vacations, and so I'm going to wait till next year in order to start investing in real estate. And this thing I find absurd. I make 12 vacations pre this pandemic. I make 12 vacations a year. I was traveling to Germany and to England and Canada and such all throughout my time of figuring out investing. And honestly, do you really feel that there's not going to be a time where you are needing to go on vacations during the beginning year of your investment after you bought your first or second property? Are you just not going to travel anymore or do anything anymore? Nothing's going to come up that's going to get in your way? Of course not. You're learning how to automate this as a business. So, if you can't run it as a business where you can run it remotely, then how are you, this is pretty much a ball and chain. It's not really an investment at that point. And remember, I self-manage all my properties. I don't even have a management company, and I still have to cover issues from wherever I'm at. So you learn how to automate the process. I have another person who has a child. She's a single mother, has a child, and so she said right now she's still looking. She's been still looking for the last 2.5 years that I've been doing this. She was actually right there with me when I first started this, and I offered her to join me on all of this, and she's just still researching it, still looking into it 2.5 years later. Now, I obviously cannot understand the perspective of a woman whom is a single mother, has a job. All I know is from this person, they still have a social life, still have things that they're doing on the side, so therefore I must assume that there's some free time. But more importantly, there are real estate investors who are single mothers. Actually, there's a popular general contractor in this area, always posting on Facebook and such. She's constantly doing real estate, and she's a single mother, and she takes care of her daughter every single day. And there's lots of them. I can name, go through this and name lots of single mothers who are actively still getting involved in real estate. And the fact that, like I said, my friend still has time. If you can think of a time in your day that you're doing something else, maybe watching Netflix or maybe just relaxing or something like that, then that's probably a time that you could have spent learning this craft. Even beyond that, I had another friend who's taking care of a sick grandmother. And once again, I have trouble having sympathy for these type of reasons because, I, once again, know another investor friend. She takes care of her grandmother. Same exact thing. Her grandmother has Alzheimer's, and yet she has 4 properties and is still investing in real estate. So, yeah, I can understand you might be taking care of someone, but you have to ask yourself, is there really going to be a time where nothing comes up? Let's say all of this goes away, everything. Your child is instantly taken care of now from now on out. Grandmother's no longer sick. Everything's great to go, and you're not doing anything for the rest of you. You think nothing will come up? Just look at this whole pandemic. During this pandemic, my job went insane. I work in IT, and I still had to figure out how to do this while at the same time working out these issues. So something's going to come up. Stuff will happen in the family. Things will occur, and you have to learn how to automate the business in such a way where you can still operate it despite all of these. So I'm going to give you my answer on when I found out I was ready to invest in real estate. So after 6 months of doing all this research, I bought my first house, and I realized I still wasn't ready to invest in real estate. I didn't know how to manage tenants, didn't know construction, didn't know a lot, LLC creation, all of that stuff. I bought a house hack, and thoroughly did not know what I was doing. And so clearly I wasn't ready by the time I bought my first house. So I bought my second house, which was a duplex, and it was a cosmetic renovation, some basic stuff. But honestly, I didn't know anything about drywall, didn't know anything about plumbing, didn't know anything about electric. I mean, problems came up all over the place. I got scammed by a certain set of contractors. I still was not ready to invest in real estate. So we can't say it was when I bought my second house. I learned all this stuff, but I still wasn't ready. So when I bought my third house, I actually still didn't have the money. This is a common reason a lot of people cite. Had no money to buy my third house. I ended up having to creatively figure out a way to finance my third house. So I still wasn't ready to invest in real estate. So it must have not been before the third house, maybe the fourth house. Well, no, not really, because it was a gut renovation. I had no idea what I was doing in a gut renovation. I've never done permits and the whole process. Remember, the second one was a cosmetic renovation. This one was a full gut rehab. I still had no idea what it was that I was doing with this. So I had to figure it out. By the way, while all this was happening, I still had other things going on in my life. So I still clearly wasn't ready. So it must not have been then. Maybe the fifth house. The fifth house, I started to feel comfortable. I started to feel like, I think I'm ready to invest in real estate at this point. And so there you have it. On my fifth house is when I finally felt ready to invest in real estate. That's when I first personally felt like I was ready. So how do you know when you're ready? You won't be. You will not be ready to invest in real estate. It will never happen in the research phase. That's the answer to your question. You won't be ready. The only time you will be ready is after you've done it for a period of time. Then you are ready to invest in real estate. Until then, you are not ready and you never will be. You can do all the research and all the stuff, but when it still comes to action, it's still terrifying. There's still so much that could go wrong that enters your mind about all of this. There's still so many things in your life that are getting in the way. There's only so much time you still don't have. You're never going to be ready. It's probably for you going to be about the same time. After you buy your fifth house is when you'll finally be ready to invest in real estate. And you have to understand that. It doesn't actually come when when from research. Like, that's really not, there's so much to research, it'll blow your mind. LLC creations and tax strategies and construction and working with contractors and tenant management and all the laws that go into all the different permit codes and building codes and renting codes and everything you do with that. And you have to understand the ARVs and BRRRR strategies. And it's ridiculous. There's so much stuff. You're not going to be ready. So honestly, the real answer here is you just jump in. Just jump in with what I would call a safe deal. Find a mentor who maybe could have a realtor who is an investor. Remember, an investor, they have to be an investor first, not necessarily primarily a realtor. But, someone who can mentor you along the way. This is realistically the way you get ready to invest in real estate. So for those of you who made to the end of this video, I actually applaud you because most of the people probably would have dropped off at this point. Real estate often involves watching videos upon videos and all the way to the end and trying to figure out the information regarding these. So I definitely encourage you to continue watching YouTube channels, continue doing all your research. Make sure at least you're not diving headfirst into something. Like, I even gave myself 6 months, so I completely understand, okay, maybe a tiny bit of research, but just remember that you will never be able to research your way into being ready. So with that, I will go ahead and let you go from there. If you have any questions beyond this video, let me know and I will answer them in the comment section below.